Okay, I'm going to try and sharpen this blade on this second-hand plane I've got. Okay, here we've got a 1000 grit waterstone. I'm using a coarse diamond stone to flatten it. And I've put pencil marks all over, which I'm going to wear away with this coarse stone. You could use a bit of wet and dry paper, 100-150 grit, on some glass as well for the same effect. It's pretty quick to grind those pencil marks away, make sure you've got a nice flat stone. Okay, add a bit more water. This plain blade we're using, I've already had a go at flattening the back, and I'm going to mount it in this honing jig. So what's that, about an inch and a half. You set the angle, which I'm going to start off at 30 degrees. Push it in, make sure it's square. Push it in, make sure it's square to the side. This jig is pretty good, but the clamping mechanism, you have to make sure you clamp it evenly. Make sure you clamp it evenly on each side. In fact, don't clamp it too hard before you take the angle setting jig off, because otherwise it's hard to get the angle setting jig off. Okay, so that's set at 30 degrees. So first of all, I've ground the blade at 25 degrees, so I'm going to add a 30 degree secondary bevel. So you need to do this until you feel a burr all the way along the back. How quickly you get that burr all the way across the back depends on how well you've ground it. Not sure if you can see that, but we've got a pretty decent secondary bevel. You can see my grinding is not perfect. And I'll move over to this stone, which has been flattened in the same way. It's a 6000 grit polishing stone, and this jig has a nice feature where you can just flick that little knob and you up the bevel angle by a couple of degrees. So with that new bevel angle, we're just going to try and hone a small micro bevel on that secondary bevel. We're really polishing it, and that's already done. So take the blade out of the jig. So we're going to use a technique developed by David Charlesworth to polish just a little bit of blade behind the cutting edge. So we raise it up on the polishing stone using a little ruler. I've already created a slurry using this little Negura stone, I think it's called. In fact, I'm going to create a little bit more because it's a bit wet. And it's this fine slurry that actually does the polishing. So just put pressure right at the front of the blade. You just want to polish that little, excuse me, that little strip behind the cutting edge. Not sure whether you can see that, but it's pretty mirrored just behind the cutting edge, which is what you want. Now you shouldn't be able to feel a burr on either side of that. So that's it.